Welcome into Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. The NBA trade deadline has come and it has gone, which means we are on to the next point of the NBA season, which is the buyout market. And on today's video, we're going to react to the top buyout candidates out there and actually talk about players the New York Knicks can sign. Thing is, it might take a while, and there's going to be a limited number of players the Knicks can sign due to where they stand with their financial status. With teams that are in the first or second apron, they can only sign players that were bought out, that prior to being bought out were making less than $2.8 million. So if a player was making more than $12.8 million, you're looking at a guy like Ben Simmons, the Knicks wouldn't be able to go out and sign him. Someone like Dennis Schroeder, the New York Knicks would not be able to go out and sign him. So if the player made $12.8 million or more prior to being bought out, the New York Knicks would not be able to sign him. And if they find a player that makes less than that, they're going to have to wait as well due to where they are at, close to that second apron, and due to the fact that the roster is set up the way it is, they cannot sign a player until February 28th. That is what Bobby Marks of ESPN said. So they're going to have to wait 3 weeks, 21 days to get it done. Maybe they can get a little handshake agreement from one of these players that is a free agent to say, hey, wait until the 28th and we'll sign you then. We're going to wait and see what Leon Rose does. We'll break down all of the buyout candidates in a second. First, though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And thank you to everybody that joined for our live show yesterday. Over 15,000 people tuned in. That was a lot of fun. We crushed the trade deadline. That's all because of y'all. And y'all know the drill. If you don't, if the Knicks make a move, we make a video. So subscribe and help us get to our goal of 60,000 subscribers. We're just under 300 away. A player that I have heard that could be bought out by his current team is Javonte Green of the New Orleans Pelicans. This is a player that the New York Knicks actually reportedly had some interest in at the trade deadline. And if he is released, I would expect them to show some more interest. He's an athletic wing. He's a really good rebounder for his size at 6'4". He can get out and run in transition, and he just plays like a junkyard dog, all grit, all heart, all the time. Chris Boucher is another player the Knicks were linked to, the Toronto forward, 6'9", 200 pounds. A little bit of an older player, but he's having a pretty good year this year, averaging 10.5 points per game for Toronto, shooting above 50% from the field, and he's shooting it pretty well from downtown. This is a guy that could play the 4, he could play a little bit of the 3, and I've even seen him play some small ball 5 for Toronto. If Boucher is bought out, who is OG Anunoby's best friend, I think he could be a New York Knick. P.J. Tucker sounds like he could also be bought out after being traded, 4 or 5 times on NBA trade deadline week. He ended up with the Toronto Raptors. I don't even know if he's ever going to step foot in Canada. I think he's going to get bought out. I don't really have that much interest in P.J. Tucker, but bringing in a veteran that maybe could impose some physicality, shoot a corner 3 a little bit, I don't hate it. He hasn't played in the NBA this year, and I'm not sure how much tread is left on those tires. Larry Nance Jr. was a player that actually Bleacher Report ended up linking to the New York Knicks. Power forward at 6'7", can play some small ball 5, but I don't really like him at that spot. He's not really a good defender. He's an all right rebounder, having his best season shooting from 3, over 40% from him. But if there's other players out there at the center position, I would definitely pursue those. Like Daniel Theis, who has officially been bought out after I believe he was moved on deadline day. I think he got traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they just ended up buying him out. This is a player that's a really good pick and roll, really good price stretch. He is a good, solid pick and roll threat. At least he was back in the day. And I don't know how much he can still give to the game, but the Knicks, if there are injuries to come, or maybe Robinson's out for a little bit longer, they're a little thin at that center spot. They did trade Jericho Sims, so the only centers you really have on the roster that are healthy right now are Karl-Anthony Towns and Ariel Hukporti, who we all love, but I don't mind adding a veteran like Theis. Jaden Springer was moved a couple of times throughout the deadline, ended up getting bought out. He is going to be a free agent, an athletic guard that could D up a little bit. Hasn't really played all that well in the NBA since he's got here. Sure, he could be someone the Knicks are interested, I guess. Bones Highland as well. He has been bounced around. He was traded by the Los Angeles Clippers. He is going to end up being bought out, it sounds like, and he's a creative guard. He can handle. He can shoot it a little bit, but he's never really been all that efficient, and he sounds like he's had some problems in the locker rooms and a couple of stops that he's had. Probably good on Bones Highland. Seth Curry. I don't ever mind adding a Curry to a basketball team. Still one of the best shooters in the NBA. With him being a veteran and closer to the end of his career, Could Charlotte look to buy him out? We know that the Currys have ties to Charlotte, so maybe he just wants to end his career there. If he becomes available, I don't mind adding a shooter like that. I'd rather Seth Curry play than Landry Shamet. He can at least make the outside shot. Someone that's definitely on my radar, as is Josh Richardson, who is shooting a whopping 28.9% from the field. I was once a big fan of Josh Richardson, just the two-way ability. He was a really good guard defender. I would probably want him to play over Landry Shamet, so if he gets bought out, I'm interested. He's at 6'5", 200 pounds, so he could defend some ones, twos, and threes. At the end of the day, it's the buyout market, meaning teams are paying these players to not play on their team, meaning they're probably not going to be all that good. We've got more players to talk about in a second. First, though, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Game Time. If you're looking to get tickets to an event coming up, the best place to do it is with Game Time. So download the app, create an account, and get the best seats for the lowest price guarantee. Get that promo code ChatSports. Get $20 off your first purchase with terms to apply. Price actually drop as the events get closer. You get to see your seat view in the app. You get to access your tickets from your phone. Last-minute tickets and flash deals. Views from the seat and lowest price guaranteed. You can go to a Knicks game. You can go to the big game coming up this Sunday, and it's more than just sporting events. You go to concerts, you can go to theater events, and so much more. So download the app, create an account, use that promo code ChatSports, and make sure to use the all-in pricing feature. That way the price you see is the price you pay. And use that Game Time Picks feature as well. It's going to make it that much more easy for you to get the best seats for the lowest price guaranteed to see your favorite people perform. That is ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase or terms to apply. All that information will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. If I had to make a bet of a player that could be returning to the New York Knicks, it's the one, it's the only, the son that Tom Thibodeau, I don't know if he has a son, it's the one he didn't have, Taj Gibson of the Charlotte Hornets. He's playing like 20 games this year for the Hornets, about 10 minutes per game. If you want to bring an extended assistant coach on the bench that's going to put on a jersey and a guy Tibbs trusts to throw out there for 8 minutes if there's some foul trouble, it could be Taj Gibson. If he is bought out by Charlotte, I think we know what's going to happen. Marvin Bagley as well. Sounds like he could be bought out. I don't mind adding him to this team. Hasn't worked out in the NBA for him, but can he give you anything off the bench? Does he just lengthen and add some depth to your center department? Not a needle mover. We know that. I hope nobody expects for the Knicks to add a needle mover in the buyout market due to the way the CBA is set up. Bagley, low risk, probably low reward as well. Lonnie Walker hasn't played in the NBA this year. I've always been a fan of his, dating back to his days at Miami. I think when he had the flat top or whatever it was. Lonnie's an athletic player. I thought he got buckets for the Lakers in a couple postseasons ago. Not in the NBA right now. Maybe the Knicks make a call. I don't know. Chris Duarte, a player out of Oregon at 6'6" that could pique the New York Knicks' interest, was bought out by the Chicago Bulls. He could defend a little bit on the perimeter. Athletic guy. I have some interest if he is available. Knicks need a wing. Reggie Jackson was bought out, and he is going to, or is planned to be bought out, it sounds like. And he's going to be a free agent, and I don't mind the New York Knicks pursuing him. Didn't work out with Philly. Still can handle the rock. Still can run the show a little bit. If he's your third point guard behind Campaign, barring an injury, I think you're pretty well set up at that spot. So this is your team. Unless the New York Knicks go out and make another move on the buyout market with the trade deadline passed, this is your squad. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, who is hurt, Karl Anthony Towns, Campaign Tyler Kolek, Miles McBride, Landry Shamet, Pacome Dadier, Matt Ryan, Precious Achiuwa, and Ariel Huckporty, with Mitchell Robinson waiting in the wings, hopefully getting healthy sooner rather than later, and ready to rock and roll for the 2025 playoff run. If you want that playoff run to end with a banner in the rafters at Madison Square Garden, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, speak it into existence. I think we're getting a good special run for the New York Knicks this spring and summer. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Knicks.